Back here at the Toyota Grand Prix Long Beach. Take a look at our motorsports calendar coming up for next week. We got the Summit Racing Equipment NHRA Southern Nationals qualifying on ESPN2 Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern. Then we'll be in Kansas next Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. And that'll be followed by the finals of the NHRA competition, 7 p.m. Eastern, also on ESPN2. Back out to the streets of Long Beach. One of the men that's going to be racing next week against Danica Patrick as she tries for 2 in a row will be our race leader, Will Power, as Power now has almost a full second lead over Alex Tagliani. Let's get more from Jamie Little.
Well, Marty, as you know, everybody's talking about fuel consumption, and they need to kick it back a notch. And they're telling Will Power right now, you're doing a great job with that. He said you're conserving perfectly, and right now they're thinking they're going to have to pit around lap 30 to 31, actually, is what they're getting out of the tank. So he's doing his job. He's doing it well. He started fourth. He took over the lead early on, and he told me earlier, guys, how much it would mean to win here. He said, we don't get many opportunities in the IndyCar Series because we're working so hard to get up to speed on those ovals. So a win here today would be huge, guys.
And we're working lap 19. As you know, it's a timed race, and that's what we show up on the top of the screen. So that gives you an idea how much longer these cars can go before their first scheduled pit stop. And let's talk a little bit about the fact that what they're trying to do is make this race in 2 stops, Scott Goodyear.
And the most important thing there, again, is that fuel mileage that we talked about. And one of those things that they have to watch for in each driver is just trying to conserve. And we talked about squeezing the accelerators slowly and smoothly as you come off the turns, not trying to stab it because you end up just using up more fuel that way, trying to be smooth through the shifts and smooth through the downshifts, and maybe just trailing off the throttle a little bit as you're going down into the turn, coasting into the turn a little bit, getting on the brakes and trying to keep the speed up through the turns. Basically just not trying to put your foot on the throttle as much as necessary as you would do. And that's the thing that you try to do in these types of cars there, again, because you don't have the ability to turn it back via the knob in the management system in the cockpit.
And we're moving our way back a little bit in our coverage to right there to Antonio Pizzonia, because we got to give him a little shout out. He has made the biggest move up through the field since the start of the race. He started 15th. He's come up 5 positions up to 10th, and he's 9 seconds behind the race leader right now. And Pizzonia is obviously got a long background in Formula One. More on that, but first let's get more from Brianne.
Marty, well, he is moving up impressively today, and he had a little bit of a setback starting yesterday. His steering went completely out twice during practice and qualifications yesterday. During qualifications around lap 2, the paddle shifting on his steering simply stopped working. I guess there's 2 batteries, one that pulls the paddle shifter back into place. It fell out of the steering wheel, so he had no steering. They had to completely replace that today, and obviously it's working, guys.
And he is one of those drivers looking to impress somebody to pick up a ride. He has 9 starts for the Williams F1 team in 04 and 05, and right in front of him is Bruno Junqueira, as that will be a battle for position. So Pizzonia, the man on the move right now. Another guy that's on the move. Let's check in a little bit further back, and there is Jimmy Vasser, and soon to be in your shot, there is Paul Tracy. That's right. The words of his demise were premature, as after the early contact with the wall, the car is held together. He got a new set of tires and stayed on the lead lap. He is back to 15th, and you can see his cycle right there as far back as 19th. And as we get into the further stages of this race, it'll be interesting to see how this works out. And the man right in front of him, interesting story there. If you were not involved in the race at all last year, the 5 car of Oriol Servia, because Paul Tracy had contact, hard contact with the wall last year. This is what it looked like in 07.
Coming out of turn 1, got back in the gas, and the back end got away from him, and he nosed the car into the wall. The result was a fractured back. And so Paul was out of the race and out of competition for 3 months, and the driver that took his place, Oriol Servia. Now, Oriol had been speaking to the team previously and was here that weekend, and when the opportunity arose that the seat was open, he got the call.
And Servia right then took the car to 2nd place. Right now, he's trying to hold off Paul Tracy. He's in 14th. Tracy is in 15th position, and I think they both have forgotten about last year. As they continue down the long straightaway towards turn number 9, let's go back and listen in. We have the audio from the onboard. Here's what happened to Justin Wilson.
The motor will go flat, and I think he's lost a valve. If you just go along here and listen. right there. The motor just goes flat. A very professional job to get to the right-hand side, to get off the racing line, because he knew that his day was done.
Sounded like my lawnmower. Jamie Little, you've got him?
Well, it was certainly a good call on your part. Justin, what happened? What did you hear and feel inside there?
A couple of laps before, I felt a loss of power and the engine note changed, so I know I was in trouble. I was hoping it was going to be something mechanical other than the engine, but I think it's the engine that's blown up.
Unfortunate for Justin Wilson. He's out of the car. Guy started on the pole, and you know, this car went to victory lane the last 3 years. That will not be going today.
That's right. It was Sebastian Bourdais at the wheel of that machine the last 3 years when it went to victory lane. Of course, Sebastian moved on to Formula One, and it will now be decided right now by Will Power. He's in control of this race. He's got 2 Champ Car wins in his resume. Will he make it 3? Saturday ABC brings you the NASCAR Nationwide Series, the Aaron's 312 at Talladega. Coverage begins with NASCAR Countdown, 2:30 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Take a look at your race leader, Will Power. Those 2 wins we told you about that he had in Champ Car Series racing, both came last year. Both were street circuits, Las Vegas and Toronto. And you know, he led 8 of 14 races on the Champ Car Series circuit last year. 2 of those, he led the most laps. Right now, Power's lead over Alex Tagliani is just over a second. And Jack, you've got more on Will?
Guys, if you take a look at Will Power's car there and then look behind him in Alex Tagliani's car, don't be surprised if the color schemes are very similar. They're different owners, however. What happened in the offseason when unification was beginning to be spoken about, Derek Walker thought he had Aussie Vineyards as a sponsor and Will Power as the driver. But as unification came closer and closer, the next day he woke up one day and saw the color scheme on the KV Racing entry, and his driver was gone. So without sponsorship, Alex Tagliani stepped into that second place car. They kept the color scheme the same because this is the Champ Car finale for these Panoses. So there's a little additive incentive for Derek Walker today to beat the guy that took the guy and the sponsorship from him. Remember, one team, your leader, goes on to Kansas. For Derek Walker, this could be tout fini for the season.
And Derek, of course, has told you and me both he is seeking sponsorship, wants to run the entire series.
And Derek Walker, a long history in motorsport, including IndyCar racing, was the vice president and general manager for Penske Racing for many, many years and has many Indy 500 championship wins underneath his belt. Back in the early era, back in the kart days, went off to start the Porsche racing team in the IndyCar circuit, and then now has turned around and started his own team many years ago.
See the numbers on the top of your screen, the power to pass? That's how many seconds of extra boost that these cars can sort of give themselves. It's a button that they literally push, and they have 60 seconds. So like Viso, Vassar, Moreno, they haven't used any of their power to pass yet. Martinez across the top, there you see, has already used about 23 seconds.
And Martin, that's part of the race strategy that we talked about and things to watch for at the beginning of the show, because you want to make sure that you have some of these tools left at the end of the race to use when it comes down to running for the victory or running for a pass to try to get a position to possibly stand on the podium or just even increase going from 7th to 6th during the last lap or so. Now, if you go ahead and use all the push to pass and the power to pass that you have there and have none left, well, if the other guy has some left, you go down the straightaway, you're going to have no chance to get past him.
Antonio Pizzonia has a problem in pit lane, and this is going to cost him dearly. Remember, he had made the most positions from the start of the race. He had picked up 5 from 15th to 10th, but now the Rocket Sports entry is apparently dead in the water.
Well, what they're trying to do is to get him started. It looks like the car is not out of neutral, so possibly a driveline problem, because every time the mechanic tried to start the car in the back, you saw the car jump forward, so they'll have to get that rectified before they can send him out.
Well, what we're hearing is potentially 3 laps to pit for our race leader, Will Power. We're working lap number 29. It would all fit together when you come back to join us.